Sorry.
Srimad Bhagavatam, reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 26th chapter, verse number 24. Tasmin dadedamam aham tava veerapatni yo annatra bhusura kulakritabil bisasatama Passena vitta bhayam unmuditam trilokyam anyatra vai muraripur itaratra dasat. Synonyms: Tasmin, unto him Dade shall give Dhamam, punishment, Aham, I, Tava, to you, Veer Patni, O wife of the hero, Ya, one who, Anyatra, besides, Bhu Surakulat, from the group of demigods on this earth, the Brahmanas, Krita, done, Kilbisa, offense, Tam, him, Pashye, I see, Na, not, Vitta, without, Bhayam, fear, Unmaditam, without anxiety, Trilokyam, within the three worlds, Anyatra, elsewhere, Vai, certainly, Mura, Ripo, of the enemy of Mura Krishna, Itaratra, on the other hand, Dasat, then the servant. Translation: O hero's wife, kindly tell me if someone has offended you. I am prepared to give such a person punishment as long as he does not belong to the Brahmin caste. But for the servant of Muraripu, Krishna, I excuse no one within or beyond these three words. No one can freely move after offending you, for I am prepared to punish him. Purport by His Divine Grace, E.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. According to Vedic civilization, a Brahmana, or one who is properly qualified to understand the absolute truth, that is, one belonging to the most intelligent social order, as well as devotee of Lord Krishna, who is known as Muradvish, enemy of demon Mura, is not subjected to the rules of regulations of the state. In other words, upon breaking the laws of the state, everyone can be punished by the government except the Brahmanas and the Vaishnavas. So Brahmanas and Vaishnavas never transgress the laws of the state or the laws of nature because they know perfectly well the resultant reactions caused by such law breaking. Even though they may sometimes appear to violate the laws, they are not to be punished by the king. This instruction was given to King Prachini Barishad by Narad Muni. King Puranjan was a representative of King Prachini Barishad, and Narad Muni was reminding King Prachini Barishad of his forefather, Maharaj Prithu, who never chastised a Brahman or a Vaishnava. Once pure intelligence or pure Krishna consciousness becomes polluted by material activities, pure consciousness can be revived by the process of sacrifice, charity, pious activities. But when one pollutes his Krishna consciousness by offending a Brahman or a Vaishnava, it is very difficult to revive. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu described the Vaishnava Aparadha or offense to Vaishnava as the mad elephant offense. One should be very careful not to offend a Vaishnava or a Brahman. Even the great Yogi Durvasa was harassed by the Sudarshan Chakra when he offended the Vaishnava. Maharaj Amrish was neither a Brahman nor a sannyasi, but an ordinary householder. Maharaj Amrish was a Vaishnava, and consequently Durvasa Muni was chastised. The conclusion is that if Krishna consciousness is covered by material sins, one can eliminate the sins simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. But if one pollutes his Krishna consciousness by offending a Brahman or a Vaishnava, one cannot revive it until one properly atones for the sin by pleasing the offended Vaishnava or Brahman. This was the course that Durvasa Muni had to follow, for he had surrendered unto Maharaj Amrish. A Vaishnava Aparadha cannot be atoned for by any means other than by begging the pardon of the offended Vaishnava. Yes, so in the last two sessions about Vaishnava Aparadha, we have been discussing that how severe it is to criticize a devotee without any fault, especially because of envy and because of some kind of personal motivation without any genuine reason. So here Srila Prabhupada also in the last paragraph says that even if you commit sin, we can easily eliminate sin by chanting Hare Krishna and following the process of bhakti. But if one is polluted by offenses to the devotees, then it is very difficult to come over that. So um, that's why it is recommended that we should never offend any devotees. And then Prabhupada also in the purport explains that Brahman and Vaishnavas, they are exceptional to the rule in terms of punishing, especially for the king, because Brahmanas are the intelligent class, and assuming that they are bona fide Brahmanas and the Vaishnavas, they are connected to the Supreme Lord. So generally, they don't transgress any particular order or they do not violate any kind of other dharma. And that's why generally they are not subjected to any kind of punishment. But by chance or by mistake, if they commit some sinful activities, then they should not be punished. It is not in the uh, within the purview of the king to punish them, because they are above the king, because they advise the king and they also guide the king. So such kind of offense, like, I mean, if the Brahman and Vaishnavas, they commit any sin, then that should be not taken so seriously, especially if it is done by mistake. So Krishna also says in the Bhagavad Gita, apichetsu duracharo. Uh, so even if a devotee commits the most sinful activity, then he should be considered saintly, because uh, he is situated in the right path. So although he may have by mistake committed some sinful activity, most abominable sinful activity also, that devotee will repent and realize his mistake, and he will not commit sin again. Now, if that devotee, of course, if the whether that devotee is a Vaishnava, whoever he is, if he commits any sin and he repeats that, he purposefully repeats that again and again, then our acharyas, they also say that then that person is not to be considered as a devotee also, because to violate the injunction of the Lord via the Shastra, through the medium of Shastra, cannot be, so someone who violates that cannot be considered a devotee. So there are statement, I think there's a Vishnu Puran or some other Puran, I don't remember, but it is mentioned that Vaishnava means who is a follower of Vishnu, and that basically means who follows the dharma which is um, basically set by the Lord, Supreme Lord in the material world. So whoever follows that, he can be called as a devotee, because generally devotees, they will always follow and they will please the Lord. So there is no question of the committing any sin. Okay, like that. So in the previous sessions, we have covered about what is Aparadha, and then who is a Vaishnava, different kinds of Vaishnavas, and then Prabhupada also mentioning, because when we talk about offending devotees, so does it refer to only pure devotees? And Prabhupada says that it refers to all devotees. And that basically means whoever is sincerely trying to serve the Lord. So they may be at the state of Kanishta, but they are progressing ahead and they are coming to the state of Madhyama and Uttama. So they also should not be offended, especially when one is preaching the holy name. Whoever is preaching the glories of the Lord, especially we have to be careful not to offend them. And then we also discussed about some cases from the teachings of the acharyas, and we also saw some. We also went through the 10 offenses to the holy name, and then we also discussed about the consequence of aparadha. And we discussed and we shared many teachings of the acharyas which are relevant to Vaishnava aparadha. And then we saw why do we commit Vaishnava aparadha, what is the root cause of committing aparadha, and then what is the root cause of anarthas also. Why do we have anarthas? Where do these anarthas come from? And then we also discussed about that we should not judge anyone. And we took some examples from the scriptures which are presented by our acharyas. And we also discussed about the example of Srila Rupa Goswami unknowingly offending a lame devotee. And this was shared by His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj. And it is also, I think, described in one of the Acharya's books. So many things we discussed. Today we are going to discuss about the uh, faults that will arise if one commits aparadha. So last time I had just read what are the qualities that will develop of because of committing aparadha, and what are the consequences of committing aparadha. So there are faults such as crookedness, lack of faith, then failure to remain steady in the path of bhakti, becoming absorbed in material objects, laxity in performing bhakti, and pride in one's performance of bhakti. So these are the 6 faults that can arise because of committing offenses. Now, our acharyas they state that if these faults are hard to remove, even by bhakti in the form of great association with great devotees, then the result is because of the offenses. So even if you get advanced devotee association in this life, but even after that, even after many attempts, if you are not able to come out of these anarthas, you are not able to overcome these anarthas, it means that in the previous life you have committed some grave aparadhas. Okay. So now we'll take some examples of these cases, and we'll understand in detail what are the actual consequences of committing Vaishnava aparadha. So in the Bhakti Sandarbha, Srila Jiva Goswami is explaining and he's giving examples of all these faults. So he states that devotees they show mercy to the ignorant who are not crooked, but are not merciful to the persons with knowledge who are crooked in nature. So persons who are devoid of devotee association and who cannot appreciate the glorification of the Lord, such as women and Sudras, they deserve your mercy. So this is stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 5th chapter, verse number 4. So these kind of people also, they can get the mercy of devotees and the Lord. But crooked people, they will not get the mercy of the Lord. On the other hand, Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, even after being allowed to study the Vedas, by receiving Vedic initiation, become bewildered since they interpret the meaning of the Vedas. So in the commentary, it states that the ignorant deserve your mercy. That is expressed in the verse. However, those who are crooked should be ignored since they are incurable. And then further it states that those without faith, those seeing the Lord and hearing the glories of the Lord, have no faith in the glories of the Lord, since they think of the Lord in an opposite way. So lack of faith is the consequence of offending the devotees. And the example is Duryodhan. So in spite of seeing the universal form of the Lord, Duryodhan was not able to appreciate Krishna as the Supreme Lord. So he did not believe. He did not have faith in Krishna. So this is also a consequence of that. So now among the devotees with great realization, they do not lose faith if they do not see the Lord. And sometimes by special worship of the Lord, great powers also manifest as byproduct. So there is a praman from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 8th chapter, 79th verse. And this is an example of Dhruv Maharaj. So when the prince stood on one leg, the earth pressed by his big toe sank lower by half Pradesh, just as boat with an elephant rocks from side to side with each of its step. So this is basically example given to show what is given in the statement, that one can also attain great powers as a byproduct due to worship of the Lord and due to the great realization of the devotee. So this result arose by samadhi on Vishnu with complete concentration, and such worship arose suitably for his attainment of position, Dhruv Loka, in which he moved the universe with its planets. So Dhruv Maharaj actually initially he had a purpose, he had a desire that he wanted to attain a bigger planet than Brahmalok also. So of course, when he realized that what he's asking from the Lord is broken pieces of glass and he has got a diamond, so then he repented for his mistake. But still, the Lord fulfilled his material desire that he had previously gained, and that is by avoiding him Dhruv Loka, which is actually a local Vaikuntha in the material world and which is also greater than Brahma Loka. So this is the effect of, just imagine, this is the effect of worshipping the Lord with great realization. You also get some powers along with that. Now, what are the obstacles that are caused by offenses? So here, so an example of absorption in material objects, which makes one fall from steadiness in the Lord. So earlier we had discussed about crookedness, lack of faith also we saw, and now unsteadiness. So now what is the example of unsteadiness? So this is from the 5th canto 8th chapter, verse number 26, and the example is that of Bharat Maharaj. So his heart afflicted with unfulfilled desire, Bharat Maharaj fell from his practice of yoga, from his detachment from material enjoyment achieved by bhakti, and even from his worship of the Lord. By the Lord's special arrangement of prarabdha karma through the appearance of the young deer. So it should be understood that it is not possible that prarabdha karma could create obstacles to bhakti, since that karma is weak. Rather, it was offense from previous life that caused this kind of obstacle. And similar is the case with Indidu Maharaj as well as Chitraketu Maharaj also. Okay, so yeah, everyone I think is aware of the example of Bharat Maharaj, how Bharat Maharaj was very advanced in his bhakti, but then somehow he got attracted to a deer, he got attached to it, and then he got completely distracted. So he gave up his practices of bhakti, and because of that, he had to take the body of a deer in the next life. And then finally, he became Jad Bharat in the third life. And after that, he attained perfection. So the example of this is the typical example of unsteadiness in the path of bhakti, where due to, now what is the cause of this distraction? Someone who is at the level of bhav, it is very, I mean, it's almost impossible to fall down from that position because it's a very advanced stage. So the only reason one can one can guess is that it must be because of offenses from previous lifetime. If you remember, I had presented Madhurya Kadambini seminar, and I had shared the slides also. So where I had shown that how there are the anarthas, the effects of the anarthas, they stay for at the corresponding stages. So like we have 9 stages of bhakti from Shraddha to Prema, and there are anarthas that are caused by piety. There's anarthas caused by sinful activities, anartha caused by faulty bhakti, and then finally anartha which is caused by offenses. So the anarthas which are caused by pap and punya, they are all absolved at earlier stage, at the stage of like nishtha ruchi, and the anartha, I think anarthas due to karma, they get destroyed at the stage of ruchi or asakti, and then anarthas due to faulty bhakti at the stage of ruchi, and then aparadhas, the consequence of aparadh, they remain all the way up to the stage of prema. Now prema is actually the goal of our sadhana bhakti, it's a sadhya, but unknowingly if we commit some offenses, like that's the example of Srila Rupa Goswami, then some effect will be there on our bhajan because of that unknowingly committed some aparadh towards a devotee. Otherwise, the aparadhas, they affect to the stage of bhav, and they are completely absolved till the stage of siddhi. When you attain swarup siddhi, vastu siddhi, which means that you attain a spiritual kind of, like, you participate in the pastimes of the Lord in the material world. So whatever sadhana you did in this life, and whatever you contemplated and meditated on a particular service to the Lord, so that particular form you attain in the material world when Krishna appears in this world. So that is Vastu Siddhi. Okay, when Vastu Siddhi you attain, then there are no effects of any aparadhas. So they get destroyed at the stage of prem, like that. So this is the reason now Bharat Maharaj, in spite of his very advanced stage, he had fallen down because he had committed some serious aparadh in the previous life. And now just imagine, Bharat Maharaj had advanced to a very high level of bhakti. But at some point of time in that stage, he had to fall down from that. So you can if you think about it, then you will realize that we may also advance to higher stages of bhakti, and we may feel that, well, we are advancing and we are such advanced devotees and nothing is happening to us, and then um, maybe I have not offended anyone, although you may have offended someone. In the previous life, of course, you will not know, but in this life, you may have offended someone in the past, and still you may be advancing. But then at some point of time, in one of the stages of bhakti, all of a sudden, that offense will actually create obstacle for you. So it is very severe. It is to be taken very seriously, and we have to be very careful and cautious not to commit any Vaishnava aparadh, because the influence of that aparadh can come at any stage in our lives, and it can create some obstacles also. So, if one knows that they have committed aparadh, then it is very good. We can contemplate, we can meditate, we can repent, we can beg forgiveness, we can go to the devotee, we can serve the devotee, and we can try to rectify. Otherwise, we'll have to bear the consequences of that aparadh. Okay, so this is also the similar cases of Indradu Maharaj and Chitraketu Maharaj. So now Indradu Maharaj also, it is said that now without any fault he was cursed. Like, you may say that, okay, Indradu Maharaj did not do anything. The sage came, he felt something, he just thought something, he got some bad impression, and then he just cursed Indradu Maharaj. But actually, it is said that probably he's also got some, he committed some aparadha in the previous life. And similar with Chitraketu Maharaj also, he committed offense to Lord Shiva, and then he came in the form of Vritrasur in the next life, right? So these are the effects of aparadha. And then one more point is stated, it is very important, that generally what happens, see, once you are performing bhakti, then all your karmas are supposed to be destroyed. So you have your sanchit karma, you have your prarabdha karma, and you have your kriyaman karma. So they are all supposed to be destroyed. But the only condition is, whatever bhakti you are doing, it should be at least at the stage of namavas. And what to speak of Shudnam, or what to speak of pure devotional service. So if you are not committing offenses, then your prarabdha karmas also get destroyed. Okay. So here, Srila Jiva Goswami is mentioning this point, that prarabdha karmas, they do not have that much control over bhakti. Okay. Prarabdha karma cannot, it cannot affect our bhakti. It does not have that much power. If something can affect the bhakti, then that is basically coming from aparadha. That's the only thing that can destroy bhakti. Otherwise, prarabdha karma does not have, karma in itself does not have anything to do with bhakti. It cannot influence our bhakti. So if we do not commit aparadha, and even though we may have some sinful reaction to karmas from previous life or this life, they are all destroyed by doing bhakti at the stage of, without any offenses. So that's why prarabdha karma, because prarabdha karma does not have any influence, so then we can understand that it must be because of the Lord's special arrangement. So in certain cases like this, where Bharat Maharaj had fallen down, or Indradu Maharaj and Chitraketu Maharaj, it was basically the Lord's special arrangement of prarabdha karma that continued their, it seems that they had karma, and because of that karma they had to undergo some kind of difficulty. But actually it was the Lord's special arrangement. So prarabdha karma does not have any influence unless the Lord will personally interfere and keep the prarabdha karma and influence the devotee. Okay, so then Jiva Goswami also says, some consider that the Lord himself makes prarabdha karma strong in such devotees to increase their longing for him. So see, actually, it's very important to understand. Now, the Acharyas also, they differ in, like Jiva Goswami himself. So in one place, he's saying that Bharat Maharaj fell down because of previous aparadha. In another context, Jiva Goswami later on, he says that actually Jiva Goswami, Bharat Maharaj already attained the Lord. So, because in the Vishnu Purana, it is described that Bharat Maharaj, whether he was sitting, sleeping, standing, walking, a whole time he was chanting the names of the Lord, and he also attained the Lord. So I think that will come later also. We'll discuss that. So in one sense, Bharat Maharaj he had already attained perfection. This was just like, he was used as an instrument. And Vishwanath Chakravarti says that such, like he states that the devotees are taking multiple or couple of lifetimes just to increase their longing for the Lord, because they desire a special type of affinity for the Lord. So they have a special, they have a desire to have a special relationship with the Lord, or to intensify their uh, intensify their affection for the Lord. And in order to do that, they are given multiple lifetimes. So they can increase, because the more you are separated from the Lord, the more your hankering to attain the Lord will increase. So that's the reason all these three personalities, they had fallen down. So now both sides are given. One is that they are tracing the aparadha from previous life. Another context is that it was basically the Lord's arrangement. It was the desire of the devotees. Okay. And Srila Sanatan Goswami also in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, he also states that all these personalities, they are actually perfected beings. So the Lord is basically using them as an instrument to teach us. So similar for the case of Brahma and Shiva also, where it seems that Brahma got attracted to his daughter and then he started running after him. And then Shiva also started running after Mohini Avatar. But it is not like that. It is actually a special arrangement of the Lord. Okay, then, yeah. So thus in a deer's body, his longing increased. And though Narad had developed Rati in his previous birth, the contamination remained in him for the same reason. So similar is the case for Narad Muni also. If you remember in the Bhagavatam, it is stated that Narad Muni had the darshan of the Lord for like it was very, very small for, very less time. And then the Lord immediately disappeared and he said that you will not be able to see me again in this body. So once you give up the body, then you will be able to see me. So that's the reason why Narad Muni also could not see the Lord for a longer period of time. He disappeared, and basically the idea was that the Lord wanted to increase the longing for, himself, like through Narad Muni, like that. Yeah, so this is given in 1:6:21, first canto 6 chapter 21 verse. Oh, in this body you will not be able to see me again, but lax practitioners who still have some contamination cannot see me at all. So this is given by Jiva Swami. And then the example of laxity in bhakti. So lax means laziness. So now example of absorption in material objects caused by offense is the elephant Gajendra. So one more obstacle is caused because of aparadha, and that is absorption in material objects. And the example of that is the elephant Gajendra, when he was absorbed in material enjoyment with his family. So by this one develops absorption in happiness and distress from internal external causes. Those who are fixed in bhakti, they disregard these influences. So there is no inauspiciousness for the devotees of Vasudev. Fear of birth, that old age disease does not arise. The practicing devotee's desire to protect the body does not arise from the desire to protect the body, but from greed to increase worship of the Lord. This desire does not harm his bhakti. However, if there is laxity in bhakti, which is antithetical to bhakti, and does not disappear in the devotee, who is able to make distinctions, even though he practices bhakti with great taste, the cause is offense. So if that laxity is there, and even after associating with devotees, still the laxity does not disappear, and especially for a devotee who is able to discriminate, who is knowledgeable, that means the cause is offense. However, the person who is incapable of recognizing an offense, or person who is ignorant, is capable of attaining perfection by a little bhakti. That person gains extra mercy of the Lord, who is merciful to the weak. So those, because of ignorance, or those who are incapable of recognizing offense, so they can actually get mercy of the Lord, because the Lord is merciful to the weak. But the person who commits offense, though is capable of discrimination, does so because of wickedness. The person who cannot recognize offense does so without much wickedness. So the obstacle for Shat Dhanus, who became a dog, who was capable of recognizing offense, was suitable for him even though he constantly worshipped the Lord. Though ignorant people and the mouse committed offense, their attainment of perfection is suitable. Since one can overcome offense by the strength of worship, if one is not wicked in nature. So those who are wicked, those who are knowledgeable, but still they are wicked, then they are not able to be delivered. But those who are ignorant and those who are not knowledgeable can be saved because they don't have wickedness. So pride in bhakti. So one of the obstacle is pride. So pride in bhakti or other things arises from the offense of disrespecting the devotees. Daksha, because of previously insulting Lord Shiva, was born as the son of Prachetas. In that life, he also offended Narad Muni. So those who attained results by only once worshipping the Lord did so because they did not have any offenses from previous life or this life. One should somehow or other worship the Lord even once at the time of death. If one chants, if one even chants the name of the Lord once at the time of death, then one attains the Lord directly, since the name manifests its power due to worship of the Lord in this life or the previous life. So in this context, there is the verse from the Srimad Bhagavad Gita 8.6. Yam yam vyapi swaran bhavem tyajate ante kalevaram tam tam evaiti konteya sadatat bhava bhavita. O Arjun, whatever one remembers while giving up this body, he attains that condition in the next life. So if one has no offenses, then destruction of karmas does not even depend on repeated chanting. This is the case of Ajamil, who destroyed all karmas by chanting once. The servants of Yam who had heard the name of the Lord many times did not attain the same effect. Yeah, so this earlier also I have shared this, that the reason why we are chanting every day repeatedly is because unknowingly offenses are destroyed, because we are committing offenses unknowingly also, and those offenses can be destroyed by repeated chanting. However, if one does not commit offense, then one does not even have to chant repeatedly. This is what Srila Jiva Goswami states, and he gives the example of Ajamil, that Ajamil did not commit any single offense, and that's why just by once chanting the name of Narayan, all the karmas got destroyed. Okay, but if we commit aparadh, then the process can take time. The results will be delayed. So that's why Ajamil, he thinks like this: though most sinful, I must have done some auspicious acts to see those best of the devtas, by which I have become joyful. In other words, the Vishnu Dutas. And that's how he was able to destroy all the karmas. And Srila Vishwanath Thakur also, in his commentary to the Ajamil pastime, he also says that Ajamil only had two stages: chant the name of the Lord and attain the Lord. That's it. No other stages in between, because there were no aparadhas. If no aparadhas, then there's no influence of, there's no anarthas also. So the reason we have 9 stages is because we have anarthas. Sadhusang, Shraddha, Sadhusang, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, Nishtha, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhav, Prem. So these are expanded, the 2 stages are expanded in 9 stages because of aparadhas, and because of that anarthas are developed. So that's why we see Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, and then the anarthas go all over to the state of Bhav, right? And it may also influence the state of Prem to some extent. That's why now, if there are no aparadhas, then the entire 9 stage will collapse in 2. Just chant the name and attain the Lord, like that. Of course, it has to be Shuddhanam. Yeah, so Jiva Goswami also states, it would not be possible for the tongue of a sinful dying man, the keeper of prostitute, to chant the name of the Lord. So see, why Ajamil was able to chant the name of Narayan at the time of death is because sinful people cannot chant the name of the Lord at the time of death. This is what is trying to, and because all his reactions, they were all destroyed because of taking shelter of the name. That's why he had no sinful reactions, no sinful activities remaining, and that's why he was able to chant the name of Lord Narayan, which is a very special and rare case also. Okay, then he states that Bharat, only after giving up the deer body, attained the Lord in the next body, even though he had chanted the Lord's name as a deer. Whereas Ajamil attained the Lord in his existing body by chanting the Lord's name at the time of death. How can that be? But Bharat, a great devotee, had attained the Lord already, for the Lord was constantly in his heart, even as a deer. So this is what I was sharing earlier, that Bharat had actually already attained the Lord. So this was just a teaching for us to follow. So for persons who are fixed in Gyan, Yoga, Karma, gaining such a birth in with remembrance of Narayan at the end while rejecting other processes is the best. The and real result of birth is remembering Narayan. Whatever is attained by Gyan, Karma, Yoga is not attained independently. Remembering the Lord while dying is the highest result. One cannot describe its glory. Remembering the Lord at the end is most honored in Nam Kaumudi. Ajamil chanted the Lord's name not only at death but at other times also by chanting his son's name. So men who can chant the name while dying or while not dying destroy all sins. I offer respects to you, the form of consciousness in Padma Puran Shloka. May we chant your names, describing your qualities, which destroy all sins even at the time of death, in order to help us remember you, who cannot be remembered while stumbling, suffering hunger, falling down, yawning, or suffering calamity. The first time one chants the name, all sins are destroyed. But chanting at death is glorified. By chanting constantly before death, Ajamil could chant perfectly while dying. Unlimited means that not only was karma destroyed, but material desires also destroyed. And aga means not only sins, but offenses also were destroyed. It should be understood a person who chants many times, when alive, on dying, develops qualities like humility by the Lord's great mercy. So many times, we think that we are chanting and we are supposed to be humble also. And Trinapi Sunjana, Tororapi Saisuna, that should also manifest in us. That quality of tolerant as a tree and more fallen than the blade of grass. So that kind of feeling has to be developed. And so Jiva Goswami is stating that by chanting, ultimately one will get that quality. So whoever is chanting the name many times in their lives, finally at the time of death, at least at the time of death, they will be able to attain that quality of humility. Of course, it also implies that there are no offenses while chanting the name. So he says that that's why, therefore, after attaining a particular qualification, the results will appear. Okay, so this is very important because we are not seeing the result currently, and that is because mostly we are committing aparadhas and mostly we are not following the process properly. But when we become qualified, then we'll see the result. So now what is the meaning of this? If you are going to attain perfection, but before that you will have to attain that qualification, and that qualification is also stated in terms of humility. So one develops that humility. So there's a Bhagavatam statement. It says, "The Lord, O Lord, the devotees who have performed great activities do not develop anger, envy, greed of sinful minds." Uddhav is speaking this verse, right? So it's from 11th canto, 6th chapter, verse number 44. So ideally, the devotees, they are supposed to develop all these qualities. They are supposed to attain these qualities before they go back to Godhead, because of course you cannot go with all these qualities in the spiritual world. Spiritual world is completely pure. So your heart has to be completely pure before you attain the final goal. So that's how you attain prem for the Lord, or the final destination. Okay. So this is about Bhakti Sandarbh. And now the conclusion of the class is I would like to share something from Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Gaudiya Patrika, which is the it's kind of a magazine type of, you can say. Yeah, so Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he's sharing something very important. Proper motive is of three types. Desiring the welfare of the person criticized. So this is in context with whether you can criticize someone or not. So desiring the welfare of the person criticized. This is the proper motive. Desiring the welfare of the world and desiring one's own welfare. These are three proper motives to criticize someone. So if the intention in analyzing someone's sins is to ensure that he attains his ultimate welfare, then such reflection is auspicious. Well, a lot of times we have questioned whether should we criticize someone because of their nature, habits. So this will help you to understand. So basically, the intention is most important. If the motive behind reflecting on someone's sin is to benefit the whole world, then this is to be counted as an auspicious act. If such reflection is undertaken for one's own spiritual welfare, then it too is auspicious. There is no fault in such reflection. When one reflects upon the historical accounts of personalities like Valmiki or Jagai and Madai, in the light of one or more of these three virtuous motives, then such reflection is never the cause of incurring sin. When a disciple humbly asks his spiritual master to instruct him on how to identify a Vaishnava, the spiritual master, desiring the welfare of his disciple and of the whole world, explains that those who exhibit unholy behavior are non-Vaishnavas. He thus points out how to identify true Vaishnavas through antithesis, with the motive of encouraging one to accept the shelter of the lotus feet of a true Vaishnava. By abandoning false so-called preachers of religion, one neither risks committing blasphemy of saints or Vaishnava Aparadha. In such cases, even criticism directed at a specific person is free from fault. These are all examples of criticizing with the proper motive. Okay, so basically what he's saying is that if the intention is good, and if you are in the position to correct someone or criticize someone, then you can do it. It is auspicious for everyone. Okay, but unless you are not in that position, I think it's not a good idea to directly criticize the person. Rather than that, you can talk to some senior or talk to some person who will be heard by that person whom you plan to criticize. Okay, so that way you can you not incur any kind of offense against that person. And of course, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur also states that unholy behavior is not acceptable, and one cannot be called as a devotee if one is not immorally situated as a devotee, and if he repeatedly commits sin or he performs some kind of immoral activity. Okay. So, all right. So with this, we end our class and our series of Vaishnava Aparadhas and the consequences. And now we can take more questions or comments, like if devotees have any, we can discuss.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Oh, sorry, Mataji. Please go ahead.
Go ahead, Mataji. I don't have any question. I was just appreciating Prabhuji's class. So please go ahead, Mataji.
Yeah. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for this beautiful class and all about, the karmas also, which is so important. I wanted to check with you, Maharaj. I didn't get it very clearly regarding Prarabdha karma. So are we saying that by chanting, we can get rid of Prarabdha karma, or we cannot? Because I had heard that Prarabdha karma is very difficult to, nullify.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
See, there are some misconceptions about whether Prarabdha karma is destroyed or not. But according to the teachings of our acharyas, and they quote Shastra also. And one thing is very clear, absolutely clear, that if someone does not commit aparadha, then prarabdha karma is also destroyed. There's no doubt about it. But yes, if someone commits aparadha, even like for example, let's say if someone does not have any aparadha in the previous life, and in this life also one starts practicing bhakti. In the process, so till now one is in the stage of namabhas, okay, and one is attaining knowledge in order to chant purely. But in that process, one may probably commit aparadh, and from namavas, one may fall down to the stage of namaparad. So if you commit aparadh while in the process, then the destroyed karmas, they may also reappear. And that dynamics completely depend on it. It is dependent on the Lord, how he wants to arrange that karma to reappear. So for generally for devotees, uh, the Lord, in any case, the Lord is actually the one who will give the reaction. It is not purely karma. The Lord makes karma as an instrument to teach the devotee, to purify the devotee. So it is basically the personal hand of the Lord for all the devotees, whether it is Kanishta, Madhyama, or Uttama. Right? But one thing is clear, that yes, karma, parat karma is destroyed, and the only process that can destroy the prarabdha karma is bhakti. No other process can destroy. Even Gyan also, it does not claim to destroy prarabdha karma. It says that one has to experience the sufferings in this life, or the results of one's karma in this life. So happiness or distress you'll have to face in this life. So by the process of Gyan, by the process of Sankhya or any other process, you'll not be able to destroy prarabdha karma. But only bhakti claims to destroy prarabdha karma of this life. And if you read, and if you go through the teaching of our acharyas, then one thing is very clear: aparadh should not be committed. Okay, otherwise your bhakti has to be it has to be fixed. It has to be nishtha, the steady bhakti. So if you are able to do something steadily for the entire lifetime, then that steadiness itself will destroy all the karmas. Okay. Of course, Sanchit karma, Kriyaman karma, so anyways, they are gone. But Prarabdha karma is kept. And one of the reasons Prarabdha karma is kept, and Prarabdha karma is kept, it does not mean that the entire karma is kept. It means a token of that karma is kept, so that a devotee will have the body, material body. Now, if you destroy the entire prarabdha karma, that means your body is also gone, because the body is also part of the prarabdha karma. You have attained a particular body due to, the body is attained because of karma from previous life. So it's a part of prarabdha karma. If you destroy entire prarabdha karma, the body also has to die. But the Lord will not let that happen, because otherwise the devotee will not be able to perform bhakti. You can do bhakti only with the body, with the help of the senses, right? Sadhana bhakti. So that's why a semblance of karma is kept by the Lord. And the example that is given is that of the snake. So if the snake bites a person, but if the snake does not have the poison, then that biting will not cause any harm to the person. It may give some temporary pain, small pain, but the person won't die because of that. So that way the Lord keeps our prarabdha karma, and it appears externally that the devotees, they are facing some karmas because of their past karmas. They are experiencing happiness and distress, but it is not because of that. It is because of the Lord's arrangement. Okay, unless you commit severe Vaishnava aparadhas, like you violently commit some aparadhas, then the Lord may not interfere. Then you will get reaction for that. But otherwise, it's basically the Lord's personal intervention. And this is how the prarabdha karmas are also kept. Also, another reason that Srila Vishwanath Thakur gives is that bhakti also wants to hide its glories. So bhakti does not want to reveal its glories to the world, and it will hide itself. Okay, so by doing that, what will happen? The people will not, especially those who are not inclined towards bhakti, at least they will follow the path of karma and jnana. Otherwise, those people also, by seeing the result of bhakti, they will not take up to bhakti to please the Lord, but they will all take up to bhakti just to destroy their karmas. So bhakti will hide its glory so that outside people, non-devotees, they will not be able to understand the process of bhakti. So this is a wonderful explanation by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And yeah, so this is how you can understand. So is that clear?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you so much. So basically, in a nutshell, what you're saying is if you do not commit aparadhas, then prarabdha karma can be mitigated or obliterated, right?
Yes, yes.
So with no aparadha.
Yeah.
So then what one had heard was wrong then, that prarabdha karma can be nullified.
Prarabdha karma can't be nullified, right? That's what you heard.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, but that's not true. Actually, this is something that I've heard in Premanand Maharaj's one of the sessions also, where he says that prarabdha karma can never be destroyed by anything. But this is not what our acharyas say. Okay, so there is a disagreement in this, and it is clearly stated by all our acharyas, Srila Rup Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Baldev Vidyabhushan, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Many places he states this, and they quote Praman also. In fact, not just that, but in the Stavamala and especially in the Nama Ashtaka by Srila Rupa Goswami, 8 verses glorifying the holy name. Baldev Vidyabhushan comments on that, one of the verses, and he says that, in fact, when if a devotee has inclination for a particular person, like he's attached to a particular person, then let's say if the devotee has some prarabdha karma, but bhakti is so powerful that the prarabdha karma is supposed to be destroyed or transferred. So what will happen? The good things of the karma, good results, will be transferred to the persons who are attached, to whom you have some inclination or some kind of affection. Some, you feel that this person is very dear to me. So that good result will be transferred to that person. And the bad result of a devotee's prarabdha karma will be transferred to someone who envies that devotee. So Baldev Vidyabhushan quotes the Shruti, and he says, that this is how it happens. So basically what he's saying, that prarabdha karma may not be destroyed, but it will be transferred, especially for devotees who are, of course, devotees who are steady or who are like sincere. Okay. So
Yes.
so
So
that's why,
yes, Prabhuji.
that's why whichever, like those people who envy devotees or they hate devotees because of no reason, they are not in a good situation, because then they invoke the wrath of the Lord, and all these karmas also gone. They take away that. And another thing, it's also stated in Sanatana Goswami says in Brihad Bhagavatamrit, he says that in fact the devotee, if he has the will to experience the good results of his prarabdha karma also, that is his choice. So the Lord gives the choice to the devotee. If there are good results from prarabdha karma, then the devotee can accept it. They can enjoy it. So they can, but the bad results, they are all destroyed for the devotee.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. That's very clear. So, Premananda Ji Maharaj, you're talking about the one in Vrindavan?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes. Any other devotee? No more questions? No comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dhanavad Pranam. Thank you so much for this very wonderful class and very important topic about Aparadha and how can we work on that. So you're explaining so nicely. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. I don't have any question, but thank you so much for this topic and wonderful class. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Thank you for the kind opportunity to serve all the devotees. So if there are no more questions, then we can end here. And
Thank you, Prabhuji, for please accept my humble obeisances for Gaurish Lopat and Guru Maharaj. Thank you for the wonderful explanation, Prabhuji. I don't have any question, but it was very enlightening to hear you today morning because you go in a little deep, so it gives a clear explanation. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
yeah, so all the mercy of our acharyas.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for a wonderful class. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Anand Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.
पंचाकल्पतरुश्च कृपा सिंधु पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय। नमाचार्य ठाकुर की जय।
Jai.
प्रभुपाद की
Jai.
जय।
Jai.
प्रेम रस